What's crazy about this one is that there was a deadline because everything was moving so fast for us right before the pandemic. Like we had just signed with E1. We're about to do a giant Europe tour and come home do a sick US tour. And then we're going to record, put it out later that year, if not the year after that. But, pandemic hit and we kind of didn't need to be on the schedule after that. Once we got to record the album, we were like, okay, we're not putting this out for a bit. So we actually were able to go back up there like 6 months after that and re-record some things that we wanted to change. So it gave us an opportunity that most people don't get. We got to listen to the finished record for a few months and be like, you know what, we can change a few things here. And so we went back up there and changed a few things that we want to change.
Welcome back to Innersleeve, the podcast taking a behind-the-scenes look at all things music. I'm Cassius Morris, Joe Pacheco joining me on the line as per usual. What's happening, my man?
Same old, man. Plugging away. And you?
That's right. Feeling good, man. You know what? The summer is coming to an end, but we still have, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it already. We have the warmth. I had to go into the weather for half a second, but it's good because, there's been times, at least where I'm at over here, where we're getting close to the snow by this time of year.
Really? Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the minus 30s over here in Alberta can be brutal, man.
Oh, yeah. No. We get those minus 30s, minus 40 with the wind and all that stuff. But, it takes a little while to kick in. But I find, it's weird. I'm useless at... My favorite time of the year is, fall because it's hoodie season. It's comfortable, whatever. But I find, to do work outside, I'm useless in that weather. It's it just gets into your bones, that humidity anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely the end of the summer, man, it's crazy. It's I was there every day, but it's what happened to it, right?
It goes by quicker than ever. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you kicked back and enjoyed it inside with some AC, enjoying some of our SoundMojo content. And just a quick update, by the way, for you guys about the content we have. We've been posting like a freight train. It's been every single day we've been doing content, and we actually have a bunch of new music-themed content coming to the channel. So, Joe, maybe if you could tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to bring attention. We've had some new drops, 2 new videos by the Quadroholics in the last couple of weeks. I always love those guys. Yeah, they're cool, man. They just have a vibe, I get that 80s vibe a bit from them and the hip hop thing. There's another OG, Megan Morrison, that some of you may remember from the summer of 2020, the height of the pandemic. She came in with a 9 Lives video, which I'll tag over here. We're going to have a new video by her soon on the channel. It's not up yet, but just want to bring your attention to it. Some other artists we've picked up over the summer, Big Melancholy, which is very poppy, but hip hop and with explicit lyrics. So you've been warned.
Definitely.
Cultural Vultures, the OG.
Yes.
The OG.
They were the first, is that right? On our channel?
Yeah. Well, first published, first signed, all that stuff. But we've gotten a few of already more lyric videos for some of the stuff, but there's a new one called Artificial America. It's a lyric video. It's very interesting. But it's also the newest song. It hasn't been on the channel musically, so maybe some of the people would like to check out another song by Cultural Vultures. And then another little, as we say here in French, coup de coeur, a little bit of a, not a favorite, but sweet spot kind of thing. Whereas a SeeMoreGlass, definitely check him out. It's an English teacher in high school, who does, I guess, I don't know, I equate it as indie pop punk, very melodic kind of rock, so definitely interesting dude. And there's more, but we just want to highlight a few, and there's definitely more content. We're going to have George Pacheco doing more reviews. Maybe you caught George doing a review 2 episodes ago. We're going to have a couple more on the channel for him. Yada, and we're going to keep pushing out more content.
It's going to be awesome, guys. There's so much stuff coming, and, we're just excited to bring it all to you guys, and we definitely hope that you enjoy it. We will be checking in with you also in a little later in the show on the SoundMojo community tab to hear and see what you guys have to say. We also have our reactions to your music picks for this week, so we'll be into that segment shortly. Hopping into some music news. Now, this is a pretty interesting story that first broke near the end of 2021, but this seems to be progressing slowly but surely, Joe, and we have the exclusive here for our audience at SoundMojo. Now, Cradle of Filth announced, and not the whole band, but I guess Danny Filth, their frontman, announced that they had a collaboration coming in progress with none other than the king of pop himself, nowadays at least, Ed Sheeran. Now, you know what? This shocked a lot of fans, Joe. And before we delve deeper into this story, I'm curious to see what your first reaction is. I mean, did you hear about this back in February of 21?
No, I don't think I did.
I missed it too.
We see like hundreds of stories a day, so maybe we did. You know, I'm probably just like, yeah, probably like whatever. I don't know. You know, like, but in all honesty, this sort of makes me happy. It's like, man, you're starting to see a lot of these interesting extreme collabs. You know, in this case, it's an extreme collab, right? Like you said, the sort of king of pop of today, and Cradle of Filth. And I'm excited to actually hear. Hopefully, it's good. You know, like I don't know what to expect. I don't even know if, like, they say that it's sort of they've started working on it. Then he had a baby. Ed Sheeran, of course, and then, you know, he's busy touring the globe, as he says, putting on big shows, you know. So they're not in a rush, but like, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm trying to think of predictions right now because, you know, my main question is who's going to handle the majority of the vocal work, because it's so different than like a hip hop song, for example, because Ed Sheeran does a lot of rap features. He's done songs with 50 Cent, Eminem, and in a rap song, there can very easily be a very sing-songy hook that can be completely different from the rap. But I've never really heard a hook feature from an outside artist in a metal song. Do you know what I mean? It's very rare.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I would think, you know, like it can go either way, right? It can be a heavy song with Ed Sheeran singing a nice pop melody or a nice, like, you know, melody in general. But I think I would predict maybe it's going to be a poppy-ish song, like an Ed Sheeran song with like a dark vocalist.
Right. So they could do one of two ways when it comes to the... I think the soundscape then is going to be the main determining factor. Is it going to be a darker song or a lighter song? I think it's so hard to tell too because, I mean, there's this Twitter account that I think it's called Collabs You Would Never See or Collabs You Would See in a Fever Dream. And it's photoshops of these fake collabs. It'll put like the Wiggles on stage with like John Lennon. This looks like one of those fake collabs, but it's actually real. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I'm leaning towards like a poppy song with like some metal vocals kind of thing. But I mean, they could do both in the same song. I mean, we'll see. You know, like
it's going to be hard to tell. But we definitely want to know what you guys think. Make sure to leave us a comment down below with your predictions for the Cradle of Filth and Ed Sheeran collab song. I definitely know we're excited and we're looking forward to hearing and seeing what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know if you're excited or if you're not excited about it.
Hopping into some more news from the world of rock and metal, the guitar axe legend herself, Nita Strauss, of course formerly of Alice Cooper, currently working in the Demi Lovato band and on her own solo work, has just released a brand new single and music video. Which, Joe, I gotta say, you know, this is nice to see. It's sort of a pleasant surprise. Because I figured once we got the announcement that Nita was transitioning bands, I figured she would be busy with Demi for quite a while. And I was almost wondering what would happen with her solo stuff. Because if we remember, she said she was pausing her solo stuff and now she's back.
Yes, I was going to mention that too, because when she was on the show, I think at episode 4 or 5, I don't remember which one it was, she mentioned that, you know, she was working on a new album and it was pretty much, I think it was ready to go because, like, you know, there's always little touch-ups and stuff, but she had this in her back pocket, and this is a good move, you know, having left Alice Cooper and now going to Demi, and I saw the tour, you know, the whole tour thing, like all in South America now.
Huge.
You know, those are going to be huge crowds, you know, and then back to I know she's in Montreal in October, so that should be interesting. You know, maybe we can catch up with her. Yeah, this one's interesting because like it's got like, you know, some really meaty production on this thing. You know, like the drums sound nice and fat, and the guitar tones. So like, yeah, no, this is. What did you think about it?
I thought it sounded awesome. You know, the production was great. The video had a cool aesthetic with the black and white sort of energy with it. I think her drummer is phenomenal as well. And, you know, I think she sounded re-energized. And, you know, again, I love the fact that, you know, because again, it would be easy for an artist like Demi Lovato, who, you know, she's not on my playlist, but I can't, you know, we can't deny the scale of an artist like Demi Lovato, how big she is. She could easily say, look, if you're in my band, that's it. And you better put your solo stuff to the side. So it's nice to see, you know, I almost see Nita Strauss as an independent contractor of rock and roll. It's like she's overall her own entity, but she's worked with a lot of different people. And I think her business strategy is one of the smartest in modern rock.
Yeah, I mean, she's like LA Rams at their games when she can be there, like she did the whole Iron Maidens thing.
Yep.
So yeah, no, definitely like the freelancer, right? Like in that movie, what was it? The guitar movie, Hired Gun. That's
Right.
pretty much what she is. She's a hired gun.
Exactly. And I mean, making a name for yourself in that world and not just being a faceless background person, probably the hardest thing you could do. I mean, almost more difficult than maybe being acclaimed in your own band, because then you sort of have more control.
Isn't it funny though that all these like massive pop artists, right? And like at one point there was like guitar was almost frowned upon in pop music.
Yeah.
It was like it was pushed away, like it was like Then you start to get all these like cool guitar things in Bieber songs and like Ed Sheeran or whatever. And then you have, it's like, go back to the days of Rihanna. She had Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme as her guitar player. You had Michael Jackson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was touring with her, Then you had like Michael Jackson way back with Steve Stevens, Slash, and then some. I don't even know. There's so many. Now,
Now, Playboy Cardi, the rapper, has a guitarist on tour with him now.
Yeah, so it's so funny that it's like they like you figured like they would want all the attention to them, right? Like Demi Lovato or whatever. But no, you need somebody on stage to also like get some attention as well. And obviously Nita's going to get attention from the way she plays and her stage presence and everything. So like I always find it interesting that like they look for these almost like like Slash is like such an iconic just like figure, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you need like that
even
guitar
his
player.
shadow you could recognize.
Yeah, that's it. So I always thought that was interesting. So what did you think about the actual song? Like you were into it?
Yeah, I was definitely into it. I actually listened to it twice. Her last solo record I enjoyed, but it didn't have that replayability aspect for me. I wasn't super drawn in. But no, I just like the fact that she's out there. She's doing it big. I also like the fact that it's a longer song. It's almost 5 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it drags on. That's one thing that I have an issue with these longer tracks is like by 3.5 minutes, sometimes I'm like, okay, let's get me out of here. This one didn't have that for me. So I thought it almost reminded me of different groups that I've heard.
Yeah, that's good. Like, well, we forgot to mention the actual title of the song, Summer Storm. So definitely check it out. We'll have the link down below. Like I was saying, like I listened to it and I was like, my first reaction was, okay, sounds good because listen to it in headphones, the drum sounds banging, like metal. Yeah, all right. And then the guitar came in and I was expecting, like a nice melody. And it came in almost like just before like a chorus vibe, like it had that kind of a vibe. Playing was great. I mean, nothing like that I would like be totally like, oh my God, but like nothing bad for sure.
Yeah.
But like at 320-ish, I found there was like a nice, like here's a melody, because like growing up, I remember like when I discovered Joe Satriani, I knew the Steve Vais, I knew the Malmsteens, the George Lynches, all the top guitar players at the time. But everybody who was a non-guitar player or technically a non-musician, they would always flip out over Joe Satriani. And I would always be like, why? And they would always say, because it's like I can sing. It's like he's singing the melody on his guitar.
It's like he's making it cry or hum or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like it was easy for non-guitarist people to get into Satriani, which is like, like you said the same thing about this one. You weren't bored, you weren't trying to think, okay, get me out of here, so it's like...
And it wasn't over the top either, because a lot of these virtuosos, it's just too much, you know?
Well, today, dude, like there's no point. Like I always knew there was always somebody better than you for sure.
Right.
But today it's everywhere. It's like, oh my God, these guys.
Yeah,
these
it's easier to
kids.
find now. I can just Google.
Yeah, they're so good and so fast and so mature at such a young age as a guitar player. And we're just talking guitar players. Imagine drummers, bass players. I've seen them all, right? But yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, for me, I just finally feels like this to me. I may be 100% wrong, or I may be totally like, lost and like 10 years late. But it just finally feels like we have a woman in a guitar player man's role, technically back in the day, but it's
traditionally,
legit. There's no shortcuts, it doesn't sound different than
exactly
Steve Vai. It's legit on every level. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really happy about.
Well, I love that about Nita too, and that's one of the reasons I respect her so much is that she doesn't sell her femininity per se, because that's what a lot of female artists end up doing. It's almost more about them visually and their appearance and their attractiveness
Yeah.
And, you know, again, that's a smart business move too, because it easily sells. But that's something I respect about Nita, is that she's always had that self-respect, and it's about the music first. And she just wants to be just like every other musician. And, you know, I commend it. So, you know what? Anytime I see a new Nita Strauss, I'm going to click like. I'm going to check it out. She's got my support.
Same here, man.
So now we're going to jump into the SoundMojo community tab, which of course is on our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, we highly recommend that you go do that. We have new content every single day and these different questions and polls that keep things fun and interesting, including this new segment we just launched where we take you guys' suggestions to listen to and react live on the air. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the first suggestion. It looks like this came from GameX Simmons, and shout out to GameX, by the way, one of the most loyal contributors on our page.
Yeah. Well, before we get to GameX, like, what is that? Is that a cassette? What's a cassette?
Oh, that's what that is. I was wondering what sort of ancient contraption that was. No, I think I still have a couple cassettes somewhere in my apartment, like Joe, but I don't listen to them anymore. Do you have any still, or?
Yeah, I have a bunch still.
Okay.
I have all the Motley Crues and stuff that I bought when I was a kid. And I have a lot of tape decks, but a lot of them, like whatever rubber it is that turns it, like is worn out over the last year. So like it barely turns it, or it doesn't turn at all, or it's very wobbly. But I have two that are still work and work pretty well, but I don't listen to anything on them unless it's like my old demos when I was trying to play guitar back in the day. You know, that's the only thing. But no, definitely don't listen. But I have seen like a release where featured just recently, like maybe yesterday or the day before, where it was saying, you know, new DVD album plus cassette. So
well, it has been becoming popular because it does look kind of cool as a display piece, and it's kind of similar with vinyl, right? But I think vinyl has a lot more practical use because they continue to make new variations of the record player, whereas cassette, it's kind of more for decoration or collectability.
Yeah, that's it. You know, but it's cool. You know, the cassette was a big thing for me when I was a kid, the Walkman and all that stuff. So anyway, all right, back to the topic at hand. GameX Simmons, Babylon by Joey Badass and Chronix. I'll let you take this one.
This track was interesting. You know, I have heard this album before, and I definitely have been aware of Joey Badass peripherally. It's been 5 years since he dropped a new album. He just released, I think, last month. So, I mean, it's been a while for Joey Badass, but this album definitely took me back. You know, I always liked his style, but I've heard this brought up by many people. It kind of feels like Joey Badass was born in the wrong era. You know, people have often made the point that if he was in the era of the Nas's and the Mobb Deeps and you know, all those classic guys, he could have probably been bigger. Joe, I mean, I don't know if you heard that sort of vibe from his raps, but I thought it was more old school.
Well, I'll be honest. Like, I literally had one note here when I listened to it is I like it. That's it. Like, I like it.
Hey, what else do you need, though?
I like it, you know. So like, I really don't know. I'm not familiar with Joey Badass and all that stuff. I'll be the first to admit that huge, gap in my knowledge of music. But I like it. I definitely like the beats, the vibe, I think GameX Simmons knows. He's starting to know the type of hip hop and chill out and
He's getting to know our taste.
The beats that I like, So that was cool.
Yeah, the beat was awesome. And of course, Chronix, a very diverse artist, featured on this track, sort of giving it that Caribbean influence, that sort of vibe. So I definitely liked it. And this was one of his first really big records. So that one, that gets a positive review from me, at least.
Yeah. So we have, again, another regular and contributor to this segment, Hier und Secht. I hope I said that right.
We hope so here.
The Dead South, in hell I will be in good company.
This was so cool. I mean, when I saw this video, Joe, I couldn't believe like how long it must have taken for them to film this, because for anyone who hasn't seen it, they have the same angle that they're doing performing, but it's in completely different locations through the whole video. I thought it was very, very creative.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, I'm trying to look like, okay, it's green screen, obviously, right? That's what I'm thinking, but the lighting doesn't change on them. Like, in example, if they're going outside, inside, and the lighting doesn't look weird. So maybe you're right, man. And they don't lose sync as they're moving and the background changes. So, like, definitely kudos to a good job. And also 300 million views on this video is crazy.
Yeah. Massive stuff. I also like this genre of music, and what I wanted to ask was, what would you say this genre is for you if you had to name it?
I'm not sure. I didn't put anything down in my notes.
That's what I mean, right? It's so tough because for me, the only people I could compare it to in recent times was Mumford and Sons.
Yeah.
But I don't know what genre that is either.
Well, folky maybe, you know. It's a
folk pop or...
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of stuff. And I mean, like, yeah. And I even put here, like, you know, I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but honestly, not sure why it's so popular.
Yeah.
I think maybe
it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a combo of everything combined is what makes it popular, I guess, you know. But like song-wise, I'm not sure. Like, you know, I'm sort of on the fence. Don't hate it, don't like it. That's pretty much my vibe on it. And here also sent us 888. I'm so used to saying 808.
Yeah.
888 Critical Mistakes. Great video. I thought this real footage in the beginning. So what did you think?
I thought this one gave me vibes of like a early 2000s sort of success hit, that sort of the nostalgia of that. It reminded me of like a Fireflies type of beat, like some internet. There's a Spotify playlist called Internet People, and I could definitely hear this on there. You know what I mean? It's like that new age sort of digital kind of sound, also mixed with some of that warm sort of pop drum. I mean, it kind of reminded me of like a very, very new school version, a modern version of an 80s type of build, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I had put myself here again. Basic notes reminds me of Three Dots. I couldn't pinpoint exactly because, like you said, there's a couple of little hints, but yet a well done job of making it their own. Right, great video I put here, and I also put it's my favorite suggestion of the week so far. You know,
nice.
That's the one I would probably playlist. Actually, I'd playlist even the Joey Badass one as well, but.
Very cool. I think this one by 888 was my favorite, and I would actually have to throw a wild card in here and tie it with Nita Strauss, man. I would say that those two are my favorite two that I heard this week that were new tracks, and definitely on my playlist now.
Yeah. Is there anything like, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there anything on your playlist that like we can suggest to the audience?
Well, let me take a look. Let me jump in and look at the last 5 songs that I put on my Spotify. So the last 5 songs I added to my Spotify. Are you guys ready to hear them?
Yeah.
You guys can know this is an exclusive. So, look at this. So I got Steam by Shelly, Care by Freak Slug. I got Natural by Shelly. This is a singer-songwriter. Fourth Dimension by Kid See Ghost, which is Kanye West and Kid Cudi. And the 5th song I have is Memories That Call You by Odessa. So this is I guess my last 5 tracks are diverse, Joe. What do you have?
Well, I don't have per se tracks. I will add as I hear stuff because I always like to go on Spotify when I'm on Spotify. I'll go to the Discover tab and then I'll go down that rabbit hole. But recently, something that's been coming up, and it's been a while. It's been a couple of months for sure. Beginning of the year. But the new discovery for me is a band called Strawberry Girls.
I think you sent me one of their songs actually.
Yeah.
So let me see if I added that.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost proggy, progressive in the sense of like. These guys are skilled players, but
here we
go. Have a different, exactly. They have a different vibe when it comes to the music. Anyways, I really enjoyed that. If you want to check it out, like Strawberry Girls. Actually, let me just see what album would I recommend from them because there's a few, and I've been going down the rabbit hole. Strawberry.
Your favorite place to musically, the rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So for me, I would say, here we go. There's a 2017 album that I really enjoyed called Italian Ghosts by Strawberry Girls. Interesting band.
Moving over to one of our questions of the week. This was brought up on one of our recent episodes with Crowbot, where we talked about the concept of bands and artists using backing tracks in a live performance setting. Now, we got a bunch of comments on this, actually, so let's see what the people had to say.
So Sunset Lights, which is an artist on SoundMojo, you can check out their tracks for sure. I like using backing tracks, for example, synths, piano, strings, and other sound effects to give my live shows more sound and color. Now, in his case, he's like, it's usually just him and another guitar player. So those backing tracks will definitely fill in the vibe and not let it feeling as like empty sounding.
That makes a lot of sense.
This guy's a great writer, great pop songs. I love his vocal tone and everything. So kind of like I've said this before, kind of like great City and Color vibe for me personally.
Shout out Dallas Green.
Yeah, Whiplash. I've seen Cage 9 perform a show with backing tracks the entire time. This makes it where the band has specific cues to keep in time with and only has limited time to interact with the audience. If done properly, backing tracks live are fantastic. Static X is another example of backing tracks used properly live. And this is usually one of the arguments, let's say when I was in a band or when I used to produce bands, to talk to bands and say, if you want the backing tracks, and that people are like, oh, but then you can't interact and you're stuck with, because if you're running with a sequencer, well, you got to make sure the song starts and you can't really talk to the audience that much. You have to pause it.
Right.
It's a little bit more logistics and stuff, but I mean,
it binds you a little bit, maybe creatively or like with the freedom of speech on stage. Yeah.
But I mean, at that big level, when you're, with pyrotechnics and stuff has to be timed. You have to know when not to be in front of a flame, like James Hetfield learned the hard way, right?
Oof, yeah.
That kind of stuff. But so, yeah, some stuff like the lights, it's always great to see lights timed with the music. So it doesn't necessarily mean there's backing tracks in that case. It's timed. It's a metronome, Here, for me, a no-go, except for things that simply can't recreate at stage sound effects as example. So like, Pink Floyd, those big intros, they come in, they have those.
You're not going to have a helicopter in the damn arena.
You never know those guys.
I mean, yeah, you never know with them, to be fair.
Yeah. So Mark Lee Filion, live should be live except for sound effects. So similar to here.
Okay. Sound effects seems to get a pass from our audience.
Yeah. Not Donald Fagen, only for complex studio layers, which I guess sound effects as well. Though Danny Carey seems to manage. Danny Carey, drummer from Tool.
Interesting. So, I wonder if they use any form of tracks. That'd be interesting to find out.
Maybe some of those low-end hum synth.
That's what I'm wondering. They have all that sound going on.
Drony, very drony stuff that they play towards. And like, I missed out on the last Tool show, but I've seen Tool live once, and like, it was fun.
I feel like a lot of their songs blend together. That's the only I like Tool a lot. I have seen them and I had a great time. But like when I think of them, I just feel like a Maynard humming and some sort of spacey synth.
To me, it feels like one long song. All their albums almost feel like a big song, which I love. But yeah, it's hard for me to tell you titles. I guess this is Chiefin. Yes, hell no. So categorically no.
Categorically, I like that. This man knows what he likes and what he wants. For me, here's what I'll say, Joe. I think. One, it depends on the type of music, because when you look at it, like for hip hop, for example, sometimes they have no band on stage. There's no live instrumentals. Obviously, you need a backing track. Otherwise, it's just going to be nothing. I also think it makes a difference how old the artists are. When you look at somebody like Vince Neil, how horribly he sings now, I wish he would use a backing track because he sounds horrible.
Yeah. Agreed. In those cases, agreed. And then you have like... where maybe some people consider it cheating when you have, let's say, like already 2-3 singers, but then you put in those studio, backup vocals that really give you that punch and make it sound full. I've said it before, but for me too, it all depends on, like if I go see Rage Against the Machine, I don't want to see backing tracks, right?
Yes, because they're young enough to pull it off too.
Yeah, exactly. There isn't going to be any, but you know what I mean? Because the music is very raw for them, so it's not missing anything live. But like for me, I don't want to go to a show and be like, oh, I wish they would have put that part, or it sounds so empty without this, or that, or maybe like in a vocal list, I don't want to see the guy pull away or a girl pull away the mic and then like take a breather and it's still singing, but yeah, I mean, like when you see like back in the day, Britney Spears and they're dancing all those crazy choreo, you can't sing do that live because all you can hear is
exactly. And she barely even sings in the studio, apparently.
Well, there you go. That's another story, but yeah,
exactly.
For me, it depends. Like I want to enjoy the show, so like I don't want something to be missing, especially something key. But like, it's from what the audience says, like it's okay for sound effects and special little things, maybe voice intros or that kind of stuff. I wouldn't necessarily disagree.
Here we ask, who is one musician you can instantly recognize after hearing them only play a few notes? And I think this is a good question.
Yeah, and I know this limits, like there's a comment down below where you're going to see what about drummers and stuff, because like you could definitely, I can tell you it's John Bonham just from the groove.
Of course.
And the tone back in the 70s. But you could definitely, recognize groove from a mile away as well. So yeah, here we have Tom Rucco, another iconic Stevie Ray Vaughan. Definitely Stevie Ray Vaughan could spot him a mile away. That's for sure.
Incredible.
Yeah, Fat Bus 05 with Joey Jordison on the kick count for a few notes. That's what I meant.
yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Like maybe I don't know him as well enough, but like I don't know about metal if you could really tell because it's so like taka taka on the metronome kind of thing.
For him,
But
his cymbals would stand out more to me. The second I hear like him counting down the intro of a Slipknot song, that I can recognize.
Yeah, you see, that's exactly the proof I was saying. Like for me, like Portnoy, I listen to Dream Theater so much. So there's so many little like you said, symbols and little patterns that he does that I know like that's a Portnoy thing, you know.
Okay, nice.
So we have not Donald Fagen, Mark Knopfler, definitely. Roy Buchanan, definitely as well. And like, love me some nice John Mayer, nice GIF.
I love how he
Definitely.
could recognize who it was too. I was
you
thinking
go.
of
Yeah,
who that
well-
actually was.
Oh yeah, well, I knew it. Oh, obviously I put it, so I knew it. But I mean, I would have known it's John Mayer just because it's his model of guitar.
Classic.
Eddie Van Halen, like wow.
Of course,
10
yeah.
10
That's an
miles away.
unmissable one.
That's like he's still getting on the airport, on the airplane, like 3 continents away, and I still know it's Van Halen.
Exactly.
Santana, same thing, like undeniably unique tone and style. BB King, I would like to sound mature and say, yeah, for sure, but I could definitely tell. No, I could definitely tell like BB King mile away, but I wish I listened to even more BB King than I have. So that's
Pioneer,
for me,
man.
but definitely Pioneer. George Lynch from Dawkins, like GameX.
Yeah.
I don't know. Were you in my brain when I was a kid? Because like that's my favorite guitar player.
Is this
growing
your
up.
brother or something?
Like maybe, man, spying on
You're
me or
long
something.
lost.
You know, George Lynch from Dawkins. That's that guy I could spot anywhere. Buddy
doubt.
Holly. I'm not that familiar with Buddy
For
Holly.
me, Buddy Holly would be tougher, but that's we're going way back now.
Yeah. Benji, Steve Vai, for sure.
See, that was my answer, Benji, because Steve Vai for me, like literally 1 or 2 notes, I'm like, that's Vai instantly.
Yeah, for sure. Satriani, like all those guys. David Gilmour right away. Prince, for sure. I think
Absolutely.
Prince, for me, maybe more of his guitar tone. Like, I know certain tones he goes for with the wah pedal at the cutoff just to get that nice breakup tone. But, like, I don't know if I'd be able to pick him up. Like if there's a song, I know he has, like, a massive vault of unreleased stuff. But if there's, something that's going to come out, I'd love to, like, just hear a guitar intro and see, like, can I nail Prince? And, of course, Devil Lad? Devil Lad 666.
Okay, tell us how
Jeff
you really feel.
Beck. Yeah, Jeff Beck. This is why I asked this question, because I was here working and I hear a slide playing. I'm like, that's Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck,
And
instantly. So that's awesome.
I
That
click
was one of the
Spotify
first
and
answers.
Yeah, and I see it's like, oh, it's Jeff Beck, of course, because like, wow.
So is that your answer? Him and Portnoy?
I would say him. All of these, man. George Lynch, like all of these guys, like pretty much. But like for me, Beck was the one that like, yeah, I can spot him a mile away. What about you? Oh, you mentioned it's true.
Definitely for me, it's Vi, but I would say to think of another genre, I would say Bob Marley. And I would say just any song, like the second I hear whether it's the opening drum roll or the opening guitar, I know that's Bob Marley instantly.
That's because you probably know the song.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's say
absolutely.
like it's something where like the Jeff Beck for me was, I think his collaboration, some of his stuff with Johnny Depp. So it's new. I've never really heard this. And like I could spot him a mile away. Like that's Jeff Beck. And I went.
So maybe I'll say
the
the Marley family in general, because for some reason, like even his sons, I can tell when it's a Marley rather than just some random reggae artist. They have that, it's interesting to see how many of his sons picked it up too, but that's a whole nother podcast. Here we ask you guys, have you ever bought an album? And I'm pretty sure we knew what most people would say to this, but you never know, Joe.
Yeah, GameX Simmons, of course. Yeah,
of course.
But it's funny because I was like, I don't know if I should put this because, like, I mean, of course people bought albums, but no, I'm like, today, like my son, my daughter have never really bought an album. So there's a lot of people who haven't really bought an album or don't even know what it is. So here we have a resounding out of 137 votes. We have 82% that said yes, they've bought an album. 14 said no, and 4 said, what's an album?
Wow. Well, hey, 4% though. I mean, I would honestly have expected at least 15% to say what's an album, because think about it. If you were born in, 2010, iTunes and Spotify could have been your whole life. I mean, maybe you never seen an album. It's true.
That's it. That's why I asked the question. I'm like, yeah, like I'm stuck in my life, where it's like they're ubiquitous, but like, no, like my son, like he's never bought an album,
Huge shout out to you guys for all of your responses on the SoundMojo community tab. Make sure to go hit that subscribe button and let us know what we should listen to next week, and also answer some of those polls and questions that we're going to put up for you guys. Now we're going to hop into the interview portion of today's show. It was a pleasure to be joined by the guys from IAM in an awesome, cool chat, talking about their unique brand of metal, their surviving through the pandemic. I mean, we covered a lot in this chat, I think, Joe.
Yeah, no, it was a good conversation, and we spoke about a lot about the production of the album, how they write together, that the pandemic didn't really affect them that much because they're already so far apart. Texas is so big, they're all over the place, these guys, right?
It was very cool to have them on, and we appreciate them taking the time. We hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll catch you right afterwards. What's going on right now in Texas? I would assume you guys are calling from Texas.
Yeah, hot as hell. We're about to meet up with the rest of the guys actually and go practice here a bit. Getting ready for these. We got a show up in Canada. It's a fest that we're gonna go do. That's Scope Exposure, 5-year fest with a bunch of cool bands like Scout, Tsunami, Strife, some Texas guys, Ballista. They're coming up. So yeah, it's gonna be a really cool fest.
Where in Canada, if may I ask?
Calgary.
Oh, nice. Okay, so close
to
to my neck of the woods. Pretty close, couple hours from me. Actually, we get called over here in Alberta the Texas of Canada.
Oh, y'all from up there?
Yeah, I'm over here in Alberta. So I'd be curious what you guys have to say if you think it compares to being the Texas of Canada.
Wow. I'll let you know after Saturday. We played Calgary once before, but it was quite a while ago. It was on that Cage Strain tour left behind. Yeah, it's that 10-year continent tour, I think. Yeah, it was quite a while back. But it was sick. I mean, Calgary, I still remember that was one of my favorite days. So I'm excited to get back that way.
You say that to everybody.
We're all the best cities.
Yeah. It's kind of word vomit almost. You just kind of say it all the time.
We got to keep the people happy. So, I mean, talk to us maybe about this new process. Obviously, you guys are getting ready to drop Eternal Steel on the 9th of September. Talk to us about the lead up for this brand new project.
It took quite a while. I mean, it's the way, like, sometimes like I write songs, it's like it'll be a riff from like years ago or whatever. Like it just didn't work out in that song or that album we were trying for. So like some songs have taken like years to write, some were written in like a day. It's like I guess this project overall, it's been it took definitely at least like 2 years to write and record.
Wow.
But yeah, songwriting is kind of like a continual thing. Like it'll just be like thinking of stuff in your head, and then you finally find that spot for that riff that you can work with forever. So it's been like a long continual process, and we demo stuff out, and then we're like bringing the rest of the guys, like get everybody's like input, and kind of like go from there. And then Andrew does like lyrics and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it went for this one. And then we recorded with Randy LaBeouf from Graphic Nature again. Just cool. Stuff always sounds sick. So it's fun to be back there. And that's pretty much that.
Because that's kind of a question that gets asked a lot. And there's one yesterday I got asked, and it's like, how do we come about like writing together? And it's like, we're kind of loners as it is, so we kind of do everything on our own, and then we bring it to the table with everybody. Once we're a collective group again, because we're all kind of spread out by hours.
Okay.
It's huge.
And then we got 2 in Houston. The 2 of us are in Dallas. I'm in Waco at school actually right now, and then we got one in Oklahoma. So we're all pretty spread out, and I feel like it works best anyway because we get to bring our best work to the table when we spend our own time on it. So that's kind of how we've always done it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask before, because I'm assuming a lot of metal and rock bands, usually it's everybody writes their ideas and then you get together and you jam it all together, but you guys are so far apart. So I'm assuming a lot of file sharing and all that stuff. Like, how does Then how do you guys do a consensus like of what, when is a song done or when is it complete?
Honestly, by feeling. I mean,
definitely.
like it's we don't have like a certain structure or a certain thing we aim towards. I feel like it once it feels like we're on the right path in a song, and once it feels like it's pretty close to being done, it's a lot of feeling, I guess. You know, it's not necessarily.
A lot of times the song will dictate when it's done, right? Or where it has to go.
That's it.
Exactly. It'll tell us whenever it's done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's like this. The opening track was like the shortest song I've ever written, which is 2.5 minutes, and then like another song that's the album was like I don't care how long it is. It just wanted to be cool. It ended up being like 5.5 or something. You know, like something really long. But it works. You know, it makes the song what it is, and it's there for a reason. You know, so yeah. There's no like formula or like it doesn't have to fit that 3-minute marker every time. You know, nothing like that. Just whatever sounds good.
What do you guys find is harder, or I guess maybe easier to know when it's finished? A vocal part or an instrumental part?
Well, it's kind of weird. Like we do like instrumental first normally, like, and then like that'll give him ideas for like phrases or like the feeling of the topic for a song, you know. So
yeah, vocals is last usually.
Yeah,
okay,
that's the last cherry on top.
Typically go to the studio like with all the instrumentals already written, and then vocals like come on top of that. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird, like,
but I think that works.
Really,
yeah, it works in the fact that like we kind of like that none of our songs really sound the same.
Yeah,
and that there is no structure to like the way we do like write songs for IAM. So it kind of you get something different every time, and I think that's what kind of adds to the mystique of like what we bring to the table.
Yeah, and going with like the feeling of it based off like the formula definitely works better because there's like we did 2 songs that are kind of the same. Like part 1 and part 2 of a song. We never done that before, you know. We just like thought that'd be a cool idea and tried it. Ended up being really cool. So yeah, just having that flexibility helps a lot, or makes it fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no rules, man. Rules.
Exactly. You know, we're making metal music. You know, we're not.
Exactly.
There are no fucking rules. Yeah.
That's right. That's the only rule.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the only fucking rule.
That's the thing. So I mean, I wonder when the pandemic did hit, did it feel not that different for you guys? Because you guys are saying that you're quite spaced out. So I would imagine that a lot of what you do, like you're saying, was virtual from the jump, really before the pandemic even.
Yeah, like when I first joined the band, I think that was the first time we had someone with recording software in the band.
Yeah. Before him, we just go to jam space and all right, this sounds good. All right, put this there, and then jam something else. Put this there. And no computers and no like pre-recording it. Like just voice mode. Yeah.
But yeah, so ever since then we kind of done the file sharing thing. So like the pandemic didn't like ruin the songwriting process at all. It was just kind of what we always done. We probably would have gotten together to like discuss it in person more, but we would just like send it through the chat and whatever, you know, just get back to each other that way. So it's kind of normal, I guess.
Yeah, I like it a lot better honestly because you can flesh ideas out more,
and you can have time to digest the ideas you're hearing instead of like an initial type of thing. I always find it weird and hard to write this in front of people. But just I don't know, like nobody wants to watch me do 30 different iterations of the same idea until I find the right one. You know, like so yeah, that kind of helps.
And hearing it come out of like speakers through like a tracked thing, it sounds different than playing it live.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, for sure.
Or like in a jam spot. So like it gives you a better idea on what it's gonna sound like on the record too. And it gives you a chance to work shit out. Like, I don't know, you get a lot more ideas coming through because you can listen to it a lot more. You can listen to it over and over and over again. And
that's it.
Whereas if you just jam it at a spot without recording anything, it's like, okay, well that was good. I remember we did that last week at practice. Let's try that again.
Yeah, whereas going forward, I feel like it's going to be a little like, we want to reincorporate some of that like live jamming type of writing, but I think both are kind of necessary. But yeah, so you want to do a bit of that too, or have a good balance of it, I guess.
So did you guys do a lot of the tracking for the new record already as you were writing it, like the stuff that you had, and then just got it mixed, or did you go re-record it?
No, we did. We re-recorded everything. We just recorded all the songs prior, or almost. There are a few that like needed a minute or two like added, but yeah, we kind of had all the songs done, and then we actually tracked them for the record at the studio. So we didn't use any like
we didn't track them ourselves, like
right
for the record.
That was just like pre-production type of stuff.
Yeah. No, spent a whole month in the studio doing all that stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I wonder, do you guys work on a deadline usually when you're making an album? I mean, is it one of those things where you already have the deal and the timeline set, or do you set that after you have the music done?
What's crazy about this one is that there was a deadline because everything was moving so fast for us right before the pandemic. Like we had just signed with E1. We're about to do a giant Europe tour and come home and do a sick US tour. And then we were going to record, put it out later that year, if not the year after that. But, you know, pandemic hit and we kind of didn't need to be on the schedule after that. And we didn't really know when things were going to be back to normal or whatever. So there was no deadline after that point. But leading up to it, there was such a rush to get things in and right. So we were freaking out. But once we got to record the album, we were like, okay, we're not putting this out for a bit. So we actually were able to go back up there like 6 months after that and re-record some things that we wanted to change. So it gave us an opportunity that most people don't get. You know, we got to listen to the finished record for a few months and be like, you know what, we can change a few things here. And so we went back up there and, you know, changed a few things that we want to change.
That flexibility, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think as far as I don't remember when exactly we got a deadline, but like we kind of just continually try to come up with the songs or ideas. The only reason we're not like right now is because we're focusing on putting out, you know, doing things to put out this record, Eternal Seal, like videos or whatever. But yeah, I think by the time we were aware of the deadline, it was like we'd already pitched them like to the rest of the band like 4 or 5 song ideas, and maybe not all the way through, but we had quite a solid. We were 2 under the gun. It always feels that way. But
yeah.
But I guess we had quite a bit done by the time we got to that point.
Yeah, especially when you have the label too, like you know, they have their fixed dates, right? You have to try to get it out and everything ready by that date.
Yeah.
It's like things get serious when you get signed, right? Like it's like, oh man, okay, we gotta move.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not just all fun and games, rock and roll. Whenever
it's when the real work starts.
Other people that are like waiting for you for you to do things. It's, you know, it's a whole different world, but getting used to it.
Do you guys ever miss those days before that?
Yeah, it's way less stress.
Right.
Like,
in a strange way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like that it's you know, on the level where we're kind of doing things a little bit bigger, or like, you know, and like sometimes working under pressure helps too. You know, if you just have no one to answer, so you could take, you know, 10 years to write. I don't know.
That's
it. So that in some ways, but I definitely miss just jamming. Yeah. But
as far as creativity, I don't think it hinders that at all, because it's not like I don't know how real it was where like labels would dictate what you had to sound like or what they wanted from your sound. But like as far as like creativity, they don't like get in the way of that at all. You know, they kind of stay in their own lane and let us make our music and give us money to do so.
I think that's sort of almost common ground when it comes to like metal and the more extreme metals. Like, you guys know what you're doing, do your thing. Obviously, it's not like a pop production where it's like, no, we gotta, you know, like polish this up, you know, for the charts, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so it's kind of it's cool in that way, but you know, you do miss that sense of like freedom. It feels like whenever you don't have a label, because you're just rocking by yourself, but you get a lot of support with a label too. You know, you get a lot of people behind your back, which is kind of good too. So,
you don't have to. You also don't have to do everything, right? Like you take care of some stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're paying for everything, but like at least you know like that someone who knows what they're doing is doing that part of the job, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how about you guys' brand new music video? I know that you guys just put out just recently Surrender to the Blade. What was the process like for coming up with this concept for this video, which is really cool?
Andrew and our bassist Eric kind of like did a lot of the concepts, or came up with the concepts for both the Iron Gate and Surrender to the Blade. I guess like Surrender to the Blade, you know, makes sense to have like sword fighting and stuff in it, but as far as like the actual scenes and stuff like that, Andrew and Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted some like really intense like battle scenes, and I just kind of have whenever I think of music, I'm a real visual person, and I visualize it before I even comprehend it sometimes, like as far as like words or, you know, the riffs that are playing. I visualize a lot of things, and I don't know, that video was just a lot of what I had visualized for it, and you know, we got with a guy that was able to the best of his abilities, recreate that, you know. So it turned out really sick. I mean, those guys beating each other with those axes and swords, they're really fucking hitting each other out there. Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was like, damn, these motherfuckers are really going hard. Like,
You can only fake so much of that, right?
oh yeah. No, they were beat to shit because we were there for what, like 10, 12 hours or something.
Yeah,
whole day.
Whole day's work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like a whole TV sort of movie length of production when you're doing something like that.
Yeah. At least
Or
like
at least for a day's work.
commercial length or something, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's insane. So, I mean, do you guys typically come up with the ideas for your videos, or do you guys like to often have people sort of pitch you guys ideas in terms of the videographers?
I wish somebody would pitch some ideas from another end.
I think it goes back to, it's cooler. I feel like it's good. We know what we want for our music, you know, like.
Yeah, we're very clear on like, okay, we want to do something like this. It's not, you know, I don't know, if someone were to come in and make suggestions, that would be kind of cool, but also we like having the full creativity of things.
Yeah, it makes more sense to just kind of do it ourselves as far as concepts go. Eric and Andrew are both, you know, they watch tons of movies. They're into all that, like, you know, videography, cinematography, whatever. I don't even know what it's called. But yeah,
the whole nine.
They have a good eye for stuff like that. So yeah, it kind of makes sense to come up with things ourselves.
How about you guys' brand of music? I know that you guys are you sort of flirt with the term death metal, but there's a lot of groove in there. I mean, deathcore is also thrown around. How would you guys exactly describe your sound?
I describe it as IAM, man. I know it's like everybody says, oh, we're unique or we have our own sound, but it's like I truly feel that IAM's kind of hard to put in a bubble. And every tour we've ever done, we've never fit in. We've always been that band that's kind of out there, not fitting in with the rest of the package. You know, we're not
right.
I mean, if you listen to an IAM record, you're gonna get so many different elements of like styles, you know, but it 100%. Still sounds like IAM, and it's not like I don't feel like we fit into a category like death metal, deathcore, hardcore, like whatever. Like we just play music that we like, and whatever whatever people want to call us. I don't really give a shit. But like
I like that.
We know that we just make metal music. You know, we make badass metal music that fits our style that we want to write.
Yeah, I think the influences definitely come from a lot of places. Like on this new record, there's definitely more leaning into thrash. You know, death metal influences for sure, and then just like anything could influence the song. You know, just like a Judas Priest song or whatever, like I'm into at the time, or you know, I'm heavily influenced by. It's just like that comes through naturally. So it is. We listen to a lot of different types of music, so those filter through in different ways. But so yeah, there's like a deliberate like lean in a certain direction for this album, and like people will be able to tell it sounds different than the last thing. But yeah, I still don't have an answer for what genre we are.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever would.
That's okay.
Like, it's not like it's not something we give a shit about. You know, like
I know.
Who cares? You know.
Do you think that's fading away more so in music, that's going to continue to become less relevant? Because I hear a lot more of that lately.
Exactly. You know, like there's no, I mean, I don't know. We've done tours with death metal bands, with deathcore, with hardcore, with metalcore, with everything. And like, I feel like every one of those tours we didn't really fit in, but like we're still accepted and people still fuck with us, you know? So I think that's something that, you know, look forward to, especially like going into this record.
I guess we just try to do what we like, you know, and then whatever that's called is us.
Yeah. We really don't try to fit in anywhere. That's not a concern of ours.
Yeah, I know we've had this discussion with Cassius, although Matt McGackie, when I remember I asked him because he was like Cryptopsy, I think the singer of Cryptopsy. Anyways, and he was telling us, I was asking him like, what is like the fascination with, it's like almost like dance music, EDM, you know, they have so many different genres where we have technical death metal, you have extreme this, that. I'm like, wow, there's such a fascination to categorize things, but it's tough because, you know, you're just doing metal, right? And it just happens to maybe lean, like you said. And but yeah, it's definitely cool that you guys like you have your own. There's something about you guys that's slightly different, you know. And we meant like when we were talking about it, we're like, it grooves more than general, let's say, death metal that I've experienced. You know,
we like that. We like energy. Like if you can feel it, because you can hear stupid riffs all fucking day, but like if you're not feeling something like energy wise from it, it's like that's what we like to bring to the table as far as like heavy music. I feel like.
In terms of like I was listening like very quickly, I was listening to like in terms of like the guitar sound, because like I come from the guitar background, so I was wondering, and I saw some of the amps on the video. I don't know if those are just for show kind of amps, but like in terms of, I had a discussion with someone yesterday.
Oh, use live, baby.
Yeah, so from like Sweden, and they were saying that they got rid of their HM2 pedal, which was like the death metal pedal, and then they were able to get different tones and more vintage tones. How do you guys deal with those type, like to try to differentiate yourself from the metal guitar sound, you know?
I guess HM2, when I first joined the band, there was push for us to be an HM2 band. I was like, no, but that's sick. But like, you know, we're our own thing, you know, so it was just kind of like from day one was like as far as guitar tone, just like whatever me and Chris like think sounds good, and then we kind of like we'll adjust certain things like on tour to make sure it's like, you know, bringing out certain things, leveling it out, balancing like our sound. And then I don't know if there's like a certain approach that we had. It was just kind of like I bought an amp that I wanted, and so did he, and like we just like kind of crafted our tones to like work well together, I guess. I don't know if we're anything particularly unique with our tones. It's just like sounds good to us, and we've heard good things, you know. So I guess that's how we went about it.
Are you using like what, 7 strings, 8 strings?
6 strings.
So you're 6 strings. Okay, there's something different about it. You know, it's like not as heavy, but you guys obviously are detuned a bit more, right?
Right. Yeah.
But like, you get it. It's a different vibe.
Yeah, and we definitely like played around with you know, like we're in super drop tuning, and just like leaving off the low string for a song, like, you know, just coming up with riffs wherever they sound cool. And then so some of our songs are in like E standard instead of drop, but we're still using the same guitar, you know. So I think that adds a lot of flavors as opposed to just being all drop tuning, all low, you know, like there's different things going on.
Was that like a conscious decision?
Yeah, I think
you were the one pushing for that, because like we used to be in just drop G sharp was like the tuning we were in for
drop G.
Yeah, we used to be drop G and then G sharp, and for like Live Performance and Hard to Kill, and then for this record we knew we wanted to tune up and not like something drastic or dramatic, so we did a lot of it in A sharp and E standard, like you were saying, but leaving that top string super low. So when we do get that massive chunky, you know, breakdown or heavy riff, it really, really smacks because it feels like it's such a lower tune.
It thickens it out.
Same shit. Exactly.
Yeah, and just like wanting little stuff, like wanting to capture more textures from the guitar came with tuning higher. Like like playing an open note on like a super, super drop tune guitar sounds different than playing an open note on a standard guitar. I just wanted to be able to capture more of those things, and like it gives you more flexibility in writing too, you know. So that I think that helps make it sound a little bit different.
Yeah, in terms of
Nice.
like touring, I'm gonna keep pushing the gear aspect for a second there, but like in terms of like touring, when you guys play, do you use amps or are you like Axe FX or like is it like no backline kind of thing?
Yeah, those amps that were in the videos are what we use live. But like I use that EVH Stealth, the 100 watt. Chris uses Dual Dark. And I think he's about to start using the Dual Dark along with the Rocker Verb, like two heads. And then our bassist uses that orange head that was in the video. Yeah, so we still use two amps and all that.
Nice. Nice. Maybe that's why, because everybody's using Axe FX, right? So like we're
Real
the
amps,
same.
motherfucker. Real
That's right.
guy.
Okay, so how do you where do you stand on like analog versus digital recording? You guys obviously recorded to digital, I'm assuming, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting discussion.
Yeah,
like
we haven't had
Yeah.
the chance to do an
Yeah.
analog record
Well,
yet.
you need like a budget because like already just to find the tape and the studio and the machine, it's a
Yeah.
nightmare, you know, unless
Do you guys
already
want
had
to
it.
though, or is that not something that you're interested in?
I mean, I would love
Oh,
to
yeah.
do stuff like that,
Okay.
like for like that old roomy, reverb type of sound on production, and I think that kind of helps. Like our records, the record that Randy did for us definitely sounds different than like a Kubicon record, which is what he does, or like he's done Cassius Strain, Kubicon, Boundaries, Orthodox, and like all those records sound different. So yeah, I mean, leaning more analog, but old school sounding stuff, that's what I'm into for sure. But yeah, I would love to do that someday.
That'd be really cool.
Take a lot of time, but yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? So, I mean, what else can people expect from the brand new project that you guys have cut now? I mean, I know that you mentioned a lot of the sort of guitar aspects.
Oh, I mean, drumming is one huge thing. Like we last record was a different drummer, and then he had left like not very long before we went in to record the new record. So we didn't really know who was going to record it, or if that person that tracks drums is going to be in the band, or if it's going to be a session musician or whatever. And we just like lucked out with our other guitarist's friend from Houston. He's just like insanely badass drummer. He could play like
Nice.
every single fill that was like written for the record, like first take, just like a piece of pick form, and so
Yeah, he's an incredible guy.
That's
Like it was such a huge difference from who we had before to now. It's like it's night and day.
He's the type of musician where you watch him play and I'm like, shit, man, I gotta start practicing guitar way more.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. But it's a world of difference when you have like I've had that situation too, where you have a good drummer and then you have someone who's just like, wow, okay, there's like a
Yeah.
huge, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like we went into the studio with like 14 songs, not all of them full done. Like I think there were two, like those last two were like kind of ideas and stuff like that. But he learned like everything structure wise down to fills like in like 3 months or
like nothing.
I don't know, maybe shorter than that.
I mean, look, the reason why we even got him was because our drummer couldn't go to Europe 2 days before we were supposed to leave.
Ooh.
And yeah, so
Wow.
Chris was like, all right, I'll call this guy. And 2 days notice, he was like, yeah, I'll leave for 2 months, go to Europe and do a US tour right after.
Wow.
And didn't even practice with us, not once. We had like one like soft practice where like we just kind of sat in a room together and like,
But that's not a practice.
yeah, we just kind of
Exactly.
did shit in the air. But our first show was in Europe, in Germany, I
Yeah.
think, Germany, and we had never played with this guy before, and it was just flawless.
And he,
I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
it was incredible. So like, yeah, from the jump, he's definitely elevated to like what we're capable of. And I said this yesterday on another interview, but like this is I feel like that's the biggest part you'll notice, or the biggest difference you'll notice from Hard to Kill to Eternal Steel is just the how much better we've gotten, like, because of the time. We've had 4 years since Hard to Kill to really practice and hone in
the
on
craft.
what we do. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you add this drummer who's just incredible to the mix. It elevated this whole album to more than what I could have wanted from it.
Yeah, and that helps a lot, like, for so many reasons, but like, as far as style direction goes, like we can lean further into Josh when he can like keep up like super fast and like, be on his stuff, so that leaves or opens up more room for like creativity and writing and stuff like that. Just the technical parts are like insane. And like that happens because like he's able crush it like that. So big shout out to our drummer
Machine.
It's awesome.
That's where those 10,000 hours count, right? All that practicing, it's that you need to be there at the right time, at the right moment, boom, and then it's easy. It's so
You
crazy.
just stay in the storage unit, drums, and a fan, and just plays drums all day. Yeah, that's
The machine himself.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. The brand new record is coming out on September 9th. It's called Eternal Steel. And us here at SoundMojo encourage everybody to go get it and check it out. And guys, thank you so much for your time. We're really excited for you. And we're definitely going to be continuing to listen and watch what you guys do.
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks
It's
for having
awesome,
us.
man.
We want to give a huge shout out to the guys from IAM for taking the time to join us on episode number 89 of Innersleeve. Like we said off the top, just really cool guys. You know, they go with the flow is what I get from them, Joe. Like we said, you know, that they were separated very much so in Texas by a couple of hours. And once the pandemic hit, they just sort of kept rolling with it. And now, you know, now that the restrictions are lifting, they don't seem to be really stressed about that either. They're just going with the flow. And whatever really gets their music from point A to B, I think is what they're willing to do.
Yeah, and I like their approach of like, well, you know, the fact that like, you know, no ramps, full amps all the way, you know, like old school a bit. Even their tones, you know, having just more amp sounds, you know, and just like we mentioned in the interview, like they have a bit more of a, I don't know, I found, you know, a groove to them, you know, than just straight up heavy, you know, like fast kind of technical stuff, you know. So I appreciated that part of it.
They were awesome, and we really appreciate them taking the time to come on the show. And we thank you guys for taking the time to watch right here on SoundMojo. We've had so much exciting content lately. It's been incredible. Joe, anything else that the people should be looking out for before we sign off here?
Maybe some merch. You know, we still have
Yes,
merch. You know, the links down below, as always. We have hoodies, caps, pillowcases, phone cases, everything you need.
Stock up on some of that fall merchandise from SoundMojo. Of course, the link is down below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well on YouTube and our audio platforms. If you watch us at home and you want to check out the show on the go, at work, at the gym, whatever the case may be, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at SoundMojo. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course the YouTube page where we have On This Day in Music every single day of the week. Also, for SoundMojo artists, if you want to be featured right here on our channel, we are looking for the next big artist to feature on our platform. So make sure to check out the link in the description below, and of course our YouTube channel for info on how you can be featured right here on SoundMojo. I'm going to take a breath now before I pass out. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Innersleeve. We'll catch you guys next week.